All right, guys, we're back with another community member interview. This time around, we've got Mr. Daniel out of Miami, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool, Daniel. Appreciate you coming on.
yeah, no worries, man.
So, Daniel and I have known each other for a decent amount of time now. When did you originally hop into the community?
So it had to have been the first time we met was in April.
April. Okay, so this was 8 months ago, about.
Yeah,
Um, and you went from if I can recall, you had like a reselling business, or you had just got done with that, right?
yeah. So I had tried several different things in high school and some things outside, and had some success with mainly reselling watches, high end watches, like between $1,000 to like 15,000, just online. But yeah, just hadn't had a ton of success with anything in particular.
Yeah. So you were probably like a lot of guys similar to me. It's like, dude, people are making money online. You just want to figure out what's going to work for you. And you tried. I'm sure you tried stuff before that as well, similar to me, dude. I tried a lot of stuff before I got into this.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so you came to me, and I know you were. I don't even know how did you discover like the high ticket sales stuff to begin with?
So I think it was on Twitter. Yeah. And I think it just made sense because I could see that gaining a skill and getting into a business, being inside of a business that's operating efficiently and making money, I could see how that would give me the skill and give me momentum to go on to the next thing. And I think up until now that's been pretty successful.
Yeah, yeah. Did you try to get into the high ticket space before you had joined the community? Like, did you try on your own?
Yeah, so I think I had joined another program and gotten into a role. Yeah, I think at that point I was already in that role, and it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't amazing either.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, sure, a lot of guys have a similar experience through whether you did it on your own or through another community. Like it's pretty difficult to hit a good role right off the bat if you don't really know exactly what you're looking for or have a crazy resume. So
Right, yeah.
it's a pretty common experience. When did you realize that the role that you were in was like, you could do better than that? Did you see other people doing really good, or what was it?
So I think from the beginning in that, even a month in, I didn't see potential to grow in that role. Even if I moved up to closer, that wasn't even the best position. So I had reached out to you to try to get into something better. And then I got into the role within, it had to have been like a month, maybe 2 months from the first time that we spoke into the role that I've been now for the past 7 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you had started out now. So for those listening, Daniel's been triage setting, which is really, it's like the conversation that happens between a DM setter and a closer, right? And you had started out as you weren't triage setting. What were you doing when you started with that team?
So it's just DMs part time. Yeah.
Okay. So you were the DM setter, and they didn't have the triage thing. And this was a newer offer at the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you like, I mean, part of what you've done and what you and I have talked about off camera is just like, dude, you went into that company, newer company. Now they're a lot bigger than they were when you started, but you kind of went in there and like really helped them figure this stuff out. Like you were the one who like initiated the whole idea of the triage, and then you did the DM stuff and then took on the triage, and you're like, this is a lot of work, but it's working. And then you had just
Right.
went full triage, right? How long into the engagement with the company did you just go to straight triage setting?
So straight to triage setting, it had to have been about like 4 months, somewhere around there.
Okay. And they were still having deals close and stuff when you were DM setting, but triage setting, it seems like that's where you really like I mean, as far as like your personal performance, like that's when things started to like really kick in, right?
Yeah, yeah. And let me just add too. I think I'm not even sure if the whole triage idea was my idea or if it was your idea throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
I was every couple of weeks I would reach out to you and we would jump on a call and talk. And I think that was very helpful to know how to suggest different things and take on more responsibilities with
Mhm.
the offer owner that I was with to ultimately be able to negotiate better pay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing too. So you started as a DM setter, you negotiated pay, you negotiated the position, you helped them build out all this stuff. Now, I mean, dude, you have a resume that's better than a lot of other people in the space because you were a part of, I don't know revenue numbers then versus now. I know it's like a multiple of what it was when you started, and you were a part of that, like a core
Right.
part of that, which is, now you could go almost anywhere you'd like and be a serious candidate, which is really the main thing that I stress for guys. It's like you just need to get the first role and get results, and once you do that, man, like there's no shortage of opportunities. And I know you and I were speaking of kind of like potential next moves, and it's like, yeah, dude, there's tons of opportunities out there. So um
Yeah.
yeah, what I guess you coming into this, obviously you had me in the corner, you had guys in the community and the guys on your team, but like what were some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome within the position on that newer team over the last like few months?
So the biggest challenges. So a lot of the stuff was new. So I was learning on the fly, taking on more responsibilities. Um, so yeah, I'd say just being able to adapt quickly and being able to learn new things fast.
Yeah. And you had done your own business before, so like you're a sharp dude, but when it came to like actually setting the appointments, and not to like throw out too much information, but the types of people you're talking to, like generally they're a little bit more sophisticated than your average like e-commerce coaching type people, right? Um, what were some like things that you picked up that really seemed to work with you to help you maximize the number of appointments that you set?
So I think, yeah, to touch on what you mentioned there, I think some of the typical stuff that's taught in the coaching space doesn't really apply to this offer specifically because most people are more sophisticated. So being able to handle that and not come off like you have no idea what you're doing, I think that's very key
Yeah,
in being able to set a lot of appointments. And in the beginning, that's something that I needed to adapt to as well.
yeah. And you mentioned earlier coming out of high school, like you're a younger dude. How old are you?
20. Yeah, it just turned 20 like 2 months ago.
Cool. So you're 20 and you're talking to guys that are like sometimes twice your age. Did you ever feel any resistance? Honestly, dude, like if I heard you over the phone, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, this is a kid. Like this guy is young. He doesn't know what he's talking about." But did you ever feel any resistance, like talking to older, like successful type people?
Very little. Yeah,
Yeah,
very little. Unless it's guys who are much older and have had like massive success, like sold companies for hundreds of millions, then maybe, but not really. Overall, no.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, dude. I mean, you don't come off as 20. Um, some people like you can hear it in their voice or just the way that they speak, but I mean, obviously you got the job done. Um, so that being said, man, when how many? I know you were on a roll before you got onto the one that you did for a while, but how many roles did you have before that, or before the one that you're currently doing?
So so just two. So just that initial one and then the one that I've been on since.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean that's pretty solid. I'm sure you've seen. I don't know how many guys you go and talk to that are also in the space, but I'm sure you've seen like there's some of these guys that are getting on two, three, four, five roles before they find the one that clicks. Um,
Yeah.
And so
That's
that, I
most
mean,
guys, yeah.
yeah, I guess it's just the power of knowing the right people, being in the right spots at the right time, and then getting connected. And I mean, credit to you, dude. I don't know how many people applied for the role that you got, but um, I mean, you were the one who ended up with it, you know. So
Right.
was
Yeah,
it
and
competitive? I can't remember.
I honestly have no idea. I have no idea how many people
Um,
applied or what their resume was coming into it,
for sure.
um, at all. But yeah, to touch on what you were saying before, I think I was able to have success fairly quickly because I was able to make connections and make connections with the right people. Ultimately, the first job I got to was from a guy that I met in another community, and then obviously the role that I've had since that was really good. I got through you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so we'll kind of start wrapping it up here, but just to elaborate on like the caliber of role that you found yourself in. I mean, yes, you're setting appointments, but you're also making more money than some closers are making. Can you just like share kind of the caliber of role that you have been working for the last 7 months?
Yeah, so I was clearing 10K a month consistently on that offer. So yeah, making more than probably most closers.
Yeah, and doing it like you said consistently, which is another thing in this space. Like a lot of people having up months and down months, and then just bouncing all over the place. So that's super valuable. What would you say for any guys who are like kind of in your situation, right? Like a little bit younger, not too far out of high school. You know, you want to make money online. Like, what kind of advice would you give to that person?
So I think getting into sales is great if if you can see yourself doing that. I don't know of yeah, I don't think there's any other vehicle to make money online where you can have success quickly and for it to give you momentum to lead to something else. So I think yeah, if you unless you can't see yourself doing sales at all, then I think it's a great vehicle.
Yeah. Do you see yourself as like kind of a natural salesperson?
Probably not. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Neither did I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that tends to be a misconception because there's a ton of great closers who aren't like the super outgoing types. And honestly, I don't know. You can probably talk to it more, but sometimes those guys tend to be the best closers.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And I guess for to kind of like really wrap it up, as far as the community goes, like besides you getting in, getting connected to a good job, stuff like that, like how else has it helped you do what you've done over the last 7 months?
Yeah. So I had already mentioned that you were very helpful throughout. We jumped on a bunch of calls to help me progress in that role. But there's also obviously a ton of other guys who they're all very helpful if you reach out to them, and oftentimes you talk to people in the community and they refer you to somebody else because they have experience with something. And so yeah, I think overall everybody has been very helpful in the community.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. Like, sure, I mean, you can go watch a course material and I don't know, just study and go do this on your own, but like the network or like the people who are like guys who come in and then they meet guys like you and then they meet another guy like you and all these people are on these teams that are doing good and they're making money. It's like it just becomes a lot more reasonable for you to come in and have success versus just like lone wolfing. And also, let's say that something went south with the offer that you had been on. It's like instead of going back to like square one Facebook groups, like dude, you would just come back to like me or you would go to someone else that you met in the group and just be like, hey, you know, I have this resume. Do you know of anything? And they probably would, right? So
Right.
that is like a hugely valuable part of it too. But I don't want to hold you much longer, man. I do appreciate you coming, kind of sharing the word, sharing your experience in both high ticket sales and the community. Um, if you'd like, I can throw any kind of social media or anything in the description. You just let me know after this so guys can connect with you, ask you questions, or potentially offer you a job because they think you're a killer. So, um, yeah, man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. To anybody watching, I'd say join, and then you can DM me through the community.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll also add in there too, because we didn't really cover it. I think the high ticket space can be very confusing. From my experience, most people, I think, set expectations and make claims that they can't fulfill on. And yeah, the expectations that you set from the beginning have been, you far exceeded that. So yeah, I think it's helpful to mention that too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, that's a huge thing that I focus on, is just like getting the results that people are expecting and more if possible. So like
Right.
not coming in and promising guys 30K a month in 30 days or 60 days or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, man, I really appreciate you hopping on. And if you are in the high ticket space, or you want to get surrounded by the right guys, and you don't want to get on an offer and it's not good and you offboard and you're just hopping around, you don't gain traction, like just get connected to guys like Daniel, other guys in the community, and hop in. So check the description for information on that. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah. Peace out.